I don't wish ill on anyone, but these corporations don't care about people. They only care about money. Defend, deny, and depose.
Police sources tell ABC News
an investigation is underway into the shooting death of UnitedHealthcare
CEO Brian Thompson was shot and killed outside a New York City Hilton hotel this morning
in the Midtown district of Manhattan
on 54th Street. This was shortly before 7 this morning.
The victim, 50-year-old Brian Thompson. He was the CEO of UnitedHealthcare.
December 4th, 2024. A normal Manhattan morning will soon become everything but normal. Surveillance cameras capture a man in black, waiting, patient, methodical. What happens next will shake the American healthcare system to its core.
Shocking murder in Midtown Manhattan. New York cops tonight looking for that gunman who was wearing a ski mask when he shot the business executive in front of the Hilton Hotel on 54th Street.
Based on the evidence we have so far, it does appear that the victim was specifically targeted, but at this point we do not know why. This does not appear to be a random act of violence.
But as this story unfolded, something unexpected occurred. A reaction that would force us to confront the uncomfortable truth about healthcare in America.
I have never seen Americans so united on something as I have over the last 24 hours in the comment sections on these news articles about the UnitedHealthcare CEO. And this is across the political spectrum.
Look, this is crazy. Look, United Health Group. We are deeply saddened and shocked at the passing of our dear friend and colleague, Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. Our hearts go out to Brian's family and all who were close to him. 41,000 ha-has.
So you recently lost a loved one. My condolences. On the bright side, at least your loved one isn't being roasted all over the internet for putting profits over people, denying care to millions.
If they ever catch that UnitedHealthcare hero and you happen to be on the jury, look up jury nullification.
You can't tell me there isn't political will to rip up a system that allows UnitedHealthcare to deny 32% of claims.
42,000 ha-has?
Sorry, but you can't get me to feel bad when shitty things happen to shitty evil people.
I'm sorry, prior authorization is required for thoughts and prayers. 15,000 likes.
Her health insurance let her know that all of the things that she had been prescribed and insured for the last 10, 15 years of her life were no longer going to be covered.
They deployed an AI model that had a 90% error rate to automatically deny healthcare claims from people who all had families of their own that are sick, dying, and poor.
Sending prior authorization, denied claims, collections, and prayers to his family. 16,000 likes.
Over 1,000 Americans got married to access healthcare through a spouse rather than for love.
I can't even pretend to care. I hope he's looking up at us.
The morning after my mom died, a box full of all of my mom's supplies for the next 4-6 months showed up on my front step. And inside the box, with all of her supplies, there was a letter that said, "Due to the change in your current situation, we have now fully insured and covered your supplies." The current change in situation was listed as death.
Looking at the evidence, 3 words stood out. Words carved into bullet casings found at the scene. Deny, defend, depose. These weren't just random words. It was a message that millions of Americans understood immediately. UnitedHealthcare, $371 billion in revenue, over 50 million customers, and a third of all claims denied. But to understand why a CEO was gunned down on a Manhattan street, we need to go deeper. What you're about to see isn't just about one tragic morning in Manhattan. It's about a breaking point, a moment when decades of denial, frustration, and desperation finally erupted. This is where our story begins, but to understand where it ends, we need to follow the money. United Health Group sits at the heart of America's healthcare system. Through its insurance arm, UnitedHealthcare, it processes nearly $1 trillion in medical claims annually, deciding which treatments get approved and which get denied. But beyond these life-altering decisions, it's their financial choices that would draw scrutiny. In 2023, UnitedHealthcare's revenue reached $371 billion, making them the biggest healthcare provider in America. In the same year, their CEO, Brian Thompson, was paid $10.2 million. The thing I've noticed about these numbers isn't just their size, it's the period in which this growth happened. You see, between 2019 and 2023, United's revenue increased by over 129 billion. So let that sink in. During a global pandemic where millions of Americans were losing their jobs, struggling to survive, filled with uncertainty, United's profits soared.
$6 billion profit. That's how much UnitedHealthcare made last quarter with cyber attacks and everything. Let me repeat that. $6 billion in profit. I don't fathom how anyone can defend the current state of affairs in United States healthcare. I don't know how anyone can defend these healthcare companies.
As COVID-19 ravaged the country, many hospitals were overwhelmed and many Americans were overburdened by bills, illness, and denied claims. During the height of the pandemic, the fear of contracting COVID saw millions avoid hospitals and clinics. Despite this, UnitedHealthcare continued collecting full premiums without offering any rebates or price reductions to customers. Essentially, they profited from deferred care while offering little to those they were supposed to serve.
New details are surfacing tonight about a lawsuit against Thompson and other United Health Group executives, accusing them of insider trading.
In late 2023, while millions of Americans faced denied claims and mounting medical debt, UnitedHealthcare executives began a pattern of stock sales that would soon draw federal attention. Now, according to information obtained by Cranes New York, after receiving notice of a Department of Justice investigation into UnitedHealthcare in February of 24, Brian Thompson sold company shares worth $15.1 million. The problem is, the shares were sold before details of the DOJ's investigation were public knowledge. Now, I'm no expert, but when someone uses confidential and material information about a company to make stock trades before the public has access to that very same information, it could potentially give them an unfair advantage. The very definition of insider trading. But Thompson wasn't alone. Over a 4-month period, he and other top executives sold over a combined $100 million in company stock. When news of the federal investigation finally broke, UnitedHealth stock dropped 5.2% in just 2 days.
Knock, knock. Who's there? The Department of Justice were investigating UnitedHealthcare. That may sound scary, unless you're an executive at UnitedHealthcare. Their senior leadership sold $105 million in shares before the public could find out.
The healthcare company, along with some of its top executives, are being sued over allegations of insider trading. One of those executives is Brian Thompson. Thompson and UnitedHealth's board chair Stephen Hemsley are being accused of selling some of their shares of UnitedHealth stock, knowing the company was being investigated.
Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you're an investor who's trusted your savings, maybe your retirement fund, to UnitedHealthcare. You believe in the company, then you discover the leadership team, the very people who were supposed to be steering the ship, are quietly selling off millions in stock. While knowing about a federal investigation that could impact the company's future, they're getting out before the news breaks, before the stock drops, before you get a chance to protect your investment. How would you feel? Each year, millions of Americans face a moment of truth, sitting in a hospital room, waiting to hear if their insurance will cover their care. For UnitedHealthcare's 50 million customers, that decision increasingly wasn't being made by doctors or even humans. It was made by an algorithm. Through its subsidiary Navi Health, UnitedHealthcare deployed a system they called NH Predict. Now, on paper, it seemed simple, an artificial intelligence that would analyze patient data, age, diagnosis, and physical condition to determine how long someone needed care after surgery or after hospital visits. What made this system dangerous wasn't that it was making decisions, it's that it was making the wrong decision 90% of the time. Think about it. A system with a 90% fail rate was deciding whether or not your grandmother could stay and have rehab or go home. The AI system was making life-altering decisions for policyholders and their care. That's over 50 million people trusting their healthcare to an algorithm that was wrong 9 times out of 10. On the 14th of November 23, the reality of these numbers was exposed in a federal lawsuit. For UnitedHealthcare policyholders, the choice became impossible. Pay thousands out of pocket, leave care facilities early, or face financial hardship. The lawsuit revealed that UnitedHealthcare were well aware that 99% of patients would not appeal denied decisions. They knew that almost everyone they denied would simply give up. They were counting on the fact that most patients would be too sick, too tired, or too overwhelmed to fight back. But what makes this even more disturbing was when patients did find the strength to appeal these denials, more than 90% of those appeals were successful. The system was wrong. They allegedly knew it was wrong, but allegedly used it anyway.
I'm a cardiologist and a patient was referred to me for a cardiology procedure. Now, before we can schedule it, we have to get approval from the insurance company, which often requires a prior authorization. We submit all the information to the insurance company and await their decision whether it's approved. Of course, as it frequently happens, it was not approved. So we submit more data. Several days later, they come back and say, nope, still not approved. So they are requiring a peer-to-peer, which means that I get on a phone call with a doctor who's employed by the insurance company. So then we have to schedule the peer-to-peer. So my staff gets on the phone, day 1, day 2, day 3, an hour plus on hold each time until they finally get through. And then they schedule a phone call, which is scheduled at the end of the week. They give you the time, and I got to carve out time in my schedule in the middle of the day so I can speak to this doctor. Mind you, this process is now taking almost 2 weeks. And at the end of the day, it's probably still going to be denied.
The 2023 federal lawsuit exposed what millions of Americans already knew. A system designed to deny the vulnerable, defend its billions, and leave many deposed by debt. But only a year later, outside the Hilton Hotel in Manhattan, these three same words would become something else entirely. A message, a warning, and for millions of Americans, the actions of what they now call a national hero. Throughout American history, the most powerful moments often begin with a single act of defiance.
UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson is dead after being shot in Midtown Manhattan.
But that defining act,
shocking murder in Midtown Manhattan,
would come from an unexpected source.
Many Americans are celebrating the shooter, Luigi Mangione, as a hero.
The Ivy League graduate, an heir to a Baltimore fortune.
The 26-year-old born into a life of privilege and potential.
As millions of Americans rally behind his actions, corporate America is running scared.
Major corporations rethinking their strategies for protecting top executives.
3 bullets, 3 words, 1 message.
The security posture for top corporations has changed dramatically since the shooting.
All of this is deeply troubling for corporations worried about the security of their top executive.
What makes a privileged young man switch sides?